Come on then.
RS5, been to everyone and their dog. It's had thousands thrown at it, and I'm going to fix it. It's had throttle bodies, engine ECU, wiring repairs. I mean, we'll go through it, but I can already see, I know what it's going to be. So it does this.
Sounds a tad lumpy.
And it goes worse, it goes blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. So yeah, it basically, idle jumped around, so it sits there and it goes ba 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 ba. It fails basic settings.
Yeah.
So we got throttle position bank 2 too low, throttle position bank 1 too low. If you go basic settings, show if you can see it. You can't hear the car doing it.
Right.
So you should hear the car. System not okay. That's better than what I had earlier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it at all earlier. Now we'll go through the engine bay in a minute. But this is how the throttle works. So that's engine control unit. There's one engine control unit, and then there's two throttles, throttle valve module, and then there's a second one for the other bank as well.
Okay.
Now this has been taken apart a few times. It's had two new throttles. They're not genuine, but if I plug in one of the throttles that's in the footwell,
yeah,
it doesn't make any difference. There's the pedal. Where's 11?
Tea!
And coffee.
Oh, you legend. Look at this. One black, one white.
It's already gone too cold for it. The kettle boiled about 30 seconds ago, but it's still too cold.
Oh, someone's just in a bad mood, aren't they?
Huh?
Someone's in a bad mood, aren't they? Give me my tea, stop you complaining.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Nath. Love you.
Thanks, Nath.
No worries.
But ass hot.
So this came in, customers booked it in, it's been everywhere, it's had two new throttles, they're not genuine. It's got aftermarket ones on, but that doesn't make a difference because if I plug the other throttles in, it doesn't help it at all, as in calibration wise. They sit there with the ignition on, they go bzzz, and they buzz, and they don't move. They'll move when you press the pedal, but they jump around, they're not very nice. Yeah, it'll idle badly, but if I sit here and go, oh, Dav, what is this?
Oh.
Wiring repairs,
Uh-huh.
yeah? So, then we start going, Dav, what is that? Can you see where I'm starting to go with this?
I can see it.
Like genuinely, right? And then things like this down, can you see down in there?
More wiring. Hang on, see if we can get the camera in there. Ooh. Definitely some evidence of tinkering.
Right, now, we have done quite a bit on this already, hunting stuff out and fixing crap, because obviously you don't assume anything anyone's done. So we've had the plugs out, we've done a compression test, we've done a leak test, a smoke test. All right, and yesterday we were messing around, and at first all we would get is it would be a leak. We'd get a leak fault. We weren't getting a throttle valve fault.
Okay.
All right, even if I change the throttle valve and all that sort of stuff, it's me. And we've messed around with some stuff, and we've got the throttle valve issue to come up.
Okay.
Right? And I'll show you for why. Because this is what's gonna make you laugh.
So on the face of it, the bodywork looks really smart on this.
It's a clean car.
It's a nice looking
Yeah,
RS5,
it's a clean
isn't
car.
it?
Just get annoyed that people can't do stuff right.
Yeah.
Mitch is out on an R8 at the minute now at the back. It's the same. It's been other places.
Yeah.
And then it ends up here. But the problem is, instead of people doing what they should be doing and it's right, the way they do it is wrong.
Yeah.
And then you end up fixing stuff. So, like for example, I think this has had rodent damage in the past because these have all been repaired. Look.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little mouse has been in there. No
I
doubt.
think so.
Yeah.
Because down here, like all the looms hanging out off at ABS.
Yeah.
So we've obviously gone through all this, double checked this is right. We've had to redo a few of them because they're in poor condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the plastics, brittle, that's obviously been repaired. We didn't do that one. We
Yeah.
didn't do any of these, but again, they've been repaired, look. And then you can see where they've pinned into the repairs. They've just pushed the probe through the repair.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So it's like, okay. So these have obviously been replaced. The engine control unit's been replaced.
Okay.
Right.
So that's a lot of money spent, isn't it?
So the fault code we kept getting on this bank was, on both banks was air leak.
Okay.
And it was saying calculated airflow incorrect. So what it was saying, the manifold pressure for the manifold pressure for the throttle opening is wrong. That's what that correlates down to.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll pop them off and we're sort of going through it, and then you can see here, look, there's some repairs down here as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But the blue waterproof connector's not been put in right. Right. And then this one down here, the throttle's been done. And then I don't know whether you can see in there, that they've pinned into that repair wire. Can you zoom in on that?
Oh well.
Don't know whether you can quite see it, it's just there.
Yeah.
But it's a repair.
Yeah.
And then they've pushed a probe through it to pin it out. All right. Okay. So we went through all this,
Yeah.
and then you've got this orange wire, which goes to ground, and it goes to both banks. And then you're like, well, where does this orange wire go to?
Yeah. Right in there.
Yeah, goes into the throttle plug,
Right.
and the other bit of it goes down the back of the engine, goes to the other one. So it's like, right, okay, well, let's do something simple. All right, what does this do? So that is, you can see on there, 2, 4, 6. So that is into pin 6, right?
Yeah.
Right, so if we go into a wiring diagram, J338 throttle valve module, okay? At the throttle, so pin 6. So pins 3 and 5 are the motor drive. Yeah, so they drive the motor for open and close.
Okay.
Right? Pin 4 and pin 1 are the signal wires. So G187 is position sensor 1 and G188 is position sensor 2. So there's always a fail-safe. So you've always got 2 position sensors inside the throttle.
Yep.
And then one is a ground and one is a live. So D195 is the 5 volt in the wiring harness. So that's the shared ground, the shared live. And the other side of that wire goes to pin 2 of the other bank of throttles, right? So that's the 5 volt feed. Right. Why are they grounded pin 6? Okay, so you think, well, you can't do that anyway. So you can't ground an ECU ground. So you can't ground a sensor ground in an ECU, right? So the ECU obviously has live and earth to it, but you can't ground a sensor track.
Yeah.
So they've gone into pin 6 in both and they've put a sensor ground on it. Or and put a chassis ground on it. Well, it's not, it's a sensor ground. It's got to go through the ECU. So you're like, right, okay, why would they do that in the first place? So I've just undone that ground, right? Now, again, I had Mitch go through this yesterday. So we've already pinned out all 6 wires on both throttles between the ECU and the throttle. And I know they're mint.
Yeah.
Right? So watch what happens now. Right, no fault codes. Let me turn the ignition off.
Yep.
So once you've done basic settings once, you've got to let the car go to sleep and then go back in to do it.
Yep. Okay.
So if you watch that throttle, yeah, I'll try it again.
Oh, there we go.
Right, so if I go back into it,
Yep.
hang on,
Yep.
done.
Yep.
And then if you look what it says here now, so it's okay.
Okay.
No fault codes.
Yep.
Starts and runs. Okay, right. Let's chase that wiring down a minute then. So they've ground the sensor track out on both
Okay.
with that. And I don't understand why you would do that. I don't understand why you would go to all that effort to do that.
To then just...
Like, because someone's put that on. I mean, that's not new,
not
that's
OEM, is
old.
it?
It's
Yeah.
not OEM, it's old. But someone's rewired it and literally put it down. So I'm going to pull that connector off.
Yep.
And get them wires out and put it back together. We're going to have to repair some of these wires anyway. But like, I don't understand how we've got what the train of thought was. Can you see there, look?
Let me zoom in. Right, just pull your finger that way. Yep, so I can see the
Yeah.
bare
Did
wire.
you see the bare copper?
Yeah.
There we go. So same here, look, as well. Repinned them all, and it's not a bad job. I just don't understand why.
It's like they've not...
How someone's then decided to do all that. But there's lots of wiring repairs everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is a good example as why you don't trust anybody. Well, why when it comes in, we start again. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. That's obviously wrong.
But you've got to start with an open mind, haven't you, and a clean
Yeah.
sheet, effectively.
Yeah. Because until we started hunting into it, you like I said, it was running like an absolute bag.
Yeah.
And the fault code was for air leak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you're like, right, okay, smoke test engine. We know these brake valve springs. So do you know what I mean? You sort of.
Well, was that the black one that?
That
you
was
used to
my
have in?
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's pop this back on. Let's get a breather on. Why'd they put breathers under stuff?
That doesn't really make sense. The packaging issues with big engines in Audis, the bane of your life.
Let's put a twin turbo V10 in a saloon car.
What's the worst that could happen, eh? What, a tiny oil leak? If you've got a broken C6 RS6.
Don't bring it here. So all we've done there is remove someone's bright idea. Someone's done some good repairs.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a factory repair. Those pin connectors and repair wires.
It's not all negative.
But I don't understand how it got to that, or how. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then also, you understand why, when you get a car in, you ignore everything anyone's done. You start again.
Yep.
Right, so no fault codes. Parking assist. So warning aid buzzer. Headlight range. So what is got? Local data bus. So we've got front and rear sensor, height sensors, steering angle, engine on, brake switch, left light, right light, backup light, headlight range control, faulty. Let's go for a drive and see if it drives properly, Dav.
Okay.
This is what's been replaced, look.
Wow, it's quite a box of tricks.
So there's an ECU in there as well. So bank 2 high pressure fuel pump, throttle pedal, throttle valve, map sensor, another throttle valve. He's had all the injectors flow tested.
Yeah.
He's had a compression test done. Obviously we redid it, and then we were just, as we got into it after smoke test, I was like, well, because it's map sensor, it's not air mass based.
Yeah.
If the map sensor's reading right, which we did on a mechanical vacuum gauge as well, and it's still giving you an air leak fault, then it's correlation between throttle, which is then when we started to look at the throttle calibration, and that was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then when I started to get throttle through, if you jump in, mate, we'll
Yep.
rest it out. When I started to get throttle through, that's when we started to get throttle signal errors like what you just saw. Well, you know what they say, mate. The simplest answer, or was it? The simplest solution is always the answer.
Yes.
So that was spliced into both throttle body grounds, and it bypassed the 5-volt circuit. But remember, because a 5-volt circuit normally has a pull-up in it, when you ground the pull-up out, the voltage is then wrong.
Yep.
And so it's the throttle signal voltage is wrong, so it doesn't know what anything is, and that's, I mean,
Hence the.
yeah,
And now look, smooth as, isn't it?
yeah, it's driving mint.
It's really nice inside this as
I
well.
like these.
It's
Yeah,
well looked after. It feels so smooth. I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, they're not as powerful as this, that, and the other, or as quick, but it's still got some character.
yeah. It doesn't. They just don't look Larry.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
If you like, yeah.
They don't really have flared arches, or you look at a C6 RS6 or anything like that, and especially the later ones now, the arches are out.
Yeah.
They kind of got a bit of stance about them, whereas
These were a little bit more under the radar, weren't they?
yeah,
Well, you compare this to a C63 AMG coupe.
yeah.
You know, they look more aggressive, don't
Yeah.
they?
Right. It's mint.
Happy days.
So if anyone's got any idea why they did that, let me know, because I haven't got a bloody clue. I mean, luckily there's no parts involved, it's just labour. We've ordered some bits to redo a lot of them wires,
Yeah.
but you know, Mitch spent the afternoon on it yesterday trying to figure it out. And then we went through it together, but riddle me this.
Nice work, dude.
See, I told you I'd fix it. I knew I fixed it because we'd fixed it. Yep. Yeah, so we need to like retape some of the loom, redo some of the connectors.
Yeah.
But this is why, one, you don't trust what other people have done when the car comes in.
Yeah.
You take your own, you look at it yourself. And then two, go back to basics. Just simple wiring checks. If anybody had done that in the past before they put 2 grand's worth of throttle bodies on it, they would have gone, why has someone done that?
So what do you think's been spent in total chasing the problem with this before it got here?
You think testing, having injectors in and out, I mean, it's probably 4 or 5 hours doing that. Injectors are 20 quid each to test.
Yeah.
You know, a couple hours for compression test. Throttle bodies, there's 2 grand in throttle bodies. ECU, it looks new, so there's another grand. Labour and that for coding, all these wiring repairs.
So you think he's into this for
But it's got to be 5 grand. 4 or 5 grand. Yeah, 4 grand, 5 grand. I mean, all right, with us now, it's going to be 30, 40 quid's worth of repair wires and sort of 4 or 5 hours labour, but
yeah.
you know,
That have been done
I'm
first.
struggling to understand what the parts are for. And you know, even yesterday we put the other throttle bodies back on and they wouldn't calibrate. And then when we figured out what had been done and what everything was, everything went through on the old ones.
Yeah.
So very, very strange, mate. Very strange. You quickly rule stuff out as well. You know, vacuum test, there's no air leaks. So we knew the fault code it come in with was wrong. The only other thing after that then, because they're not air mass, they're done on manifold pressure.
Yep.
The only thing that is calculated then is the throttle position to manifold pressure, so it knows what they should be. And it's obviously outside of range. Like the old 1.8 turbo fault code, you used to get throttle correlation fault on those when you had a boost leak.
Yeah.
And same kind of thing, so yeah.
Well, nice to get to the bottom
Another
of it.
one done, mate.
Yes.
Can't beat it. So.
Time for tea, I reckon.
Tea time.
Job well done.
Let me know why anyone would have done that, because I can't figure it out.
I'm sure somebody will let you know their thoughts.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just would have built, if I thought it was wiring at all, I just would have built a 6-wire loom. Just literally a harness over the top, off VCU to each throttle body and done that.
Yep.
But I don't know. That's me. Right. I will see you on the next one.
See you later, dude.
Biggity bop.